Hey everyone, I'm Jaren, and today we are talking about No Time to Die. This is the 25th Bond installment in the franchise, as well as the fifth and final film with Daniel Craig as our titled character. Many times over, they kept pushing back the release date because of the pandemic, and I was just so over seeing so many trailers get just tossed around, and I was just like, okay, I'm not excited anymore. After finally confirming the October 8th date, I was very excited to get my tickets for this one. I was like, this better be worth the wait. And then while sitting in my seat in the theater, it really hit me. I was like, wow, this is the final James Bond movie in the Daniel Craig timeline. Now, this installment is directed by Cary Joji Fukunaga, who is responsible for True Detective. I've only seen season 1, but he's responsible for the whole 3 seasons, and he's also the screenwriter of the remake of It, which I absolutely love. Now, I think it's safe to say now that No Time to Die is probably my second favorite out of the 5 in the Daniel Craig James Bond movies. I have a soft spot for Quantum of Solace, but it's just because it's very action-packed, but that's not what these movies are about. And in terms of quality and script, this one takes the cake on second place. Now, before we get into that juicy topic, I have to be upfront and admit that it did have some issues, maybe a lot. This was kind of like the rise of Skywalker for James Bond movies, and what I mean by that is that the first 25 minutes, which was amazing, felt like a retcon to Spectre. Now, I enjoyed all the Daniel Craig James Bond movies, but if I had to really nitpick, Spectre was probably my least favorite of the 5. When it came to storytelling and the chemistry between Craig and Seydoux, I wasn't feeling it. It felt completely off, especially with the action scenes and the storytelling and how it got executed. Spectre was just, it fell apart for me. Whether it was the first 25 minutes to the first hour half of No Time to Die, they fixed all of the issues I had about Spectre in this first half of another movie, and I was really happy about that. And as many times as I've seen the promos and trailers, I just could not get enough at how amazing that first opening sequence was with the action, and it was just so driven with emotion and just grit. The dynamic and the chemistry between Craig and Seydoux was a lot stronger than I thought it was going to be, and it was perfect. It definitely played out like a romantic thriller at one point. But between the car having a machine gun to the electromagnetic pulse that was in his watch, we still could have used a little more gadgets. I mean, that's what Q is here for, right? Besides Seydoux giving a phenomenal performance compared to the last movie, I want to talk about the rest of the other Bond girls that show up, one including Lashana Lynch, who plays the new 007, and I like a lot of the love-hate relationship that her and Craig have on screen. It really adds to this whole, who's a better agent, as well as Ana de Armas, who was just really doing that dress a favor. She was just kicking ass and just looking all sexy, and she had a small part, but it was really, really a really cool sequence. If there is any way that these two could have their own spin-off movies, that would be great, because they really stole the show in whatever moments that they had. Blofeld also makes an appearance in this movie once again, played by Christoph Waltz, who is nothing short from spectacular. The true talent worth mentioning in this movie, though, is Rami Malek, who plays Safin. I'm not going to get into his whole name because it's really hard for me to remember it nor actually pronounce it, but I love that he was the villain in this movie, and he really stole the show with every single just momentous menace and passion that he had. But the problem is that he's literally in the last hour of the movie. I mean, he shows up in like the first 5-10 minutes of the film. He has a really creepy mask, and I kind of wish he used it a little bit more, but I know it's a flashback. And then, he doesn't become relevant into what, James Bond and the rest of his crew are getting into as far as the script goes until like the last hour, where he wants to become a little more relevant, and of course his whole plan is revealed. But it felt like that could have been another movie that could have expanded and spent a little more time on his character and, his plan and his agenda, because he seems like a really great villain, but it seems so short-lived. Now, keep in mind, this is the longest running James Bond feature out there, because this is like 2 hours and 43 minutes. My dumbass theater likes to play 20-minute previews, so I was literally in the theater between like 6 and 9:15. But it was entertainingly written, and I felt like I got two condensed movies in one that I just didn't want it to end just yet. I love all the action pieces that they had in this film, especially from the beginning and the ending. In the middle, especially in the hour and a half mark, you actually start to feel the runtime because there's a lot going on and there's a lot of story that needs to be unveiled that the trailer doesn't spoil, thank goodness. But it's enough to keep you on your toes. It's enough to keep you just glued to the screen that I was impressed. The ending and the fate of our characters could have been drawn out just a little bit more because, like, again, comparing it to Rise of Skywalker, it just felt like they were racing to finish this film. And again, going back to Rami Malek's character, I wanted more out of him. I wanted more story, more backstory, more of what's going on in his tiny little crazy head, because this is the final movie. We should be wrapping things up with characters that are already established, and even though we got brand new characters who were amazing and amazing talents, it just felt like, okay, like, Give me everything you got. I mean, don't hold anything back because there's no reason to hold these characters in the dark anymore. Having said that, I really love that Daniel Craig gave it his all in this one. You know, compared to the last one, he felt checked out. But this one, he definitely gave it all he could, especially with the action scenes. I know he has gotten hurt in the past playing this role, as far as the physicality and a lot of the stunts. He gave it everything, and I definitely appreciate him for that and his passion in the role as 007. I think it's funny how it started off when he was picked to be James Bond back in 2006, that a lot of people were either upset or sort of excited or very unsure how he was gonna bring his take to this character, and it felt weird to kind of say goodbye to that because now we have to look forward to another person that's going to take on the James Bond role, take on a probably new story slash timeline era. Now, the idea of a villain helming a biological weaponry, now you could see that agenda and a formula in every other action thriller movie, but what's been going on in the world in the last couple years, the stakes were pretty high in this one. Now, it was kind of weird that in the early promos of this film, a lot of people were hating on Billie Eilish for doing this track for 007, but it really worked out well, especially with the vibe and the way they transitioned a lot of the story and our destiny of these characters, that Billie Eilish's song was just a better send-off for Bond, and it works. It definitely works. The location shots are always astounding in these films, especially the cinematography and a lot of the callbacks, references of the characters and events that have wrapped up since Casino Royale just felt so sentimental. Alright guys, that's all I got to say about No Time to Die. You guys go check it out for yourself. I'm Jaren Agbanawag, and I will see you guys at the movies. Okay, bye.